Social media was still in its infancy. Facebook had just opened its doors to the public. YouTube was barely a year old, and MySpace was the king of online social networking. Most people still relied heavily on emails for personal conversations, office communication, and especially news updates. If something shocking landed in your inbox, chances were you would open it without hesitation. Spam filters weren't as smart as they are today, and users weren't as cautious. Cybersecurity awareness was minimal. This was the perfect hunting ground for hackers. Enter the king of pop. Now imagine the year 2006. Michael Jackson was one of the most famous people alive. He wasn't just a singer, he was a global icon, a cultural force who had dominated the music industry for decades. But by this time, his career was also surrounded by controversy. Legal battles, health rumors, and bizarre tabloid headlines followed him everywhere. If you wanted a story that people would click on immediately, there was no better subject than Michael Jackson. He was the ultimate curiosity magnet, and hackers knew this. They didn't need to invent a complicated scam or create a sophisticated piece of malware. All they had to do was pick the single most shocking headline imaginable. Breaking news: Michael Jackson is dead. The anatomy of the attack. The email would arrive looking like a regular news alert. The subject line was sensational, urgent, and impossible to ignore. Inside the email, there was usually a short message, something vague, like exclusive video footage or click to read more. Attached to the email was a file. Sometimes it appeared as a text document, other times as a video clip. Of course, none of these files contained real information. Instead, they carried a worm-like virus. The moment a user clicked the file, the computer became infected. System files were corrupted, slowing down the machine. Sensitive data such as saved passwords, documents, and even banking information could be harvested. The virus replicated itself and sent the same Michael Jackson death email to everyone in the victim ES contact list. That last feature was especially deadly. It turned the virus into a self-propagating chain reaction. One careless click in New York could reach inboxes in Tokyo within hours. The global spread, within just a few weeks, the virus had traveled across continents. Reports came in from Europe, Asia, North America, and beyond. Office networks were compromised. Universities had their email systems crippled. Home users found their computers unusable. Antivirus companies like McAfee and Symantec had to issue emergency patches and detailed warnings. But by the time the alerts were released, the damage was already widespread. The strange thing was, even after people heard about the virus, many couldn't resist opening the email. Why? Because the headline was too shocking to ignore. Curiosity mixed with celebrity culture proved to be stronger than common sense. The psychology behind it. What made this virus unique wasn't the code. Technically, it wasn't the most sophisticated piece of malware ever written. What made it dangerous was the psychology behind it. Hackers understood something crucial. Humans are the weakest link in cybersecurity. You can build strong firewalls, encrypt your data, and create secure passwords. But if someone dangles a piece of information that plays directly on your emotions, like the death of a global superstar, logic often takes a back seat. The Michael Jackson virus was essentially a social engineering masterpiece. It weaponized grief, shock, and curiosity, proving that the human mind could be hacked more easily than any computer. The real-world impact. So how bad was it? Thousands of computers were rendered useless. Families lost personal photos, videos, and important documents. Businesses suffered financial losses because infected emails shut down office systems. IT departments had to spend countless hours cleaning up the mess. Some reports even suggested that the virus caused millions of dollars in damages globally, not because it was highly advanced, but because it was so widely spread. And it wasn't just individuals who fell victim. Entire organizations, including government offices and schools, were disrupted. Imagine being a student in 2006, trying to check your email for exam schedules, only to find your university's email server completely down because someone clicked, "Michael Jackson is dead." The ironic twist. Here's where the story gets almost surreal. Michael Jackson, of course, was still alive in 2006. The king of pop continued to make headlines, continued to appear in tabloids, and continued to spark rumors. But 3 years later, in 2009, the shocking news finally became true. Michael Jackson had actually passed away. When the real news broke, many people remembered the 2006 virus. Some even thought back and wondered, was that a strange coincidence? Did the virus predict his death? Of course, it didn't. But the timing was eerie enough to give the virus a bizarre, almost prophetic reputation. Even today, some online communities still refer to it as the Michael Jackson prophecy virus. Lessons learned. The Michael Jackson virus taught the world a lesson that remains relevant even in 2025. Cybersecurity is not just about technology. It's about psychology. We often think of hackers as geniuses writing complicated code to break into systems. But sometimes they don't need to break in at all. They just need to convince you to open the door for them. This is what we now call social engineering, the art of manipulating human behavior to bypass technical defenses. The Michael Jackson virus is one of the clearest, almost textbook examples of how effective this technique can be. It also highlights how dangerous misinformation can be when combined with technology. A simple lie, "Michael Jackson is dead," caused real-world chaos. Conclusion. The 2006 Michael Jackson virus wasn't the most destructive cyber attack ever. It didn't take down power grids or steal billions of dollars. But it stands out as one of the most fascinating examples of how hackers can exploit culture, emotion, and curiosity to achieve their goals. It showed that sometimes the scariest viruses aren't the ones hiding in the code. They are the ones hiding in our minds. So the next time you see a shocking headline in your inbox or on social media, remember this story. If something looks too sensational to be true, it probably is. Stay curious, but stay cautious.